So the point of this recipe is to get a really beautifully roasted and tender chicken with a bunch of buttery vegetables on the side that have soaked up some of the chicken juices as they've roasted. And to do it all in one pot, and I'm gonna show you how to get it done. Hey there, it's Amanda, and I am making a one-pot roast chicken a la Julia Child, and it's a recipe by Jennifer Claire, and she took a Julia Child recipe from Mastering the Art of French Cooking, Volume 1, and it was the recipe for casserole roasted chicken. And she just adapted it to make it a bit more accessible to you and me. So I've got my pot ready, which I'm using a Le Creuset enameled cast iron Dutch oven. And I am stripping some leaves from some thyme and rosemary. I'm just gonna chop it up. It calls for 1 teaspoon of herbs, but personally just don't think that's enough. So I am going to do probably more like two teaspoons at least. And I'm separating the rosemary and the thyme because they are very different textures and they chop differently. And if you chop them together, you'll end up with the thyme kind of like really mashed up and the rosemary not so mashed up. So it works better, I find, that you chop like textured herbs together. So delicates with delicates and more sturdy with sturdy. So you can use whatever vegetables you want. In fact, she recommends potatoes, parsnips, carrots, golden beets, butternut squash, fennel. I am using butternut squash and carrots and onion. So mine's gonna be very orange. Okay, and I just want to show you, you cut the vegetables into these like big chunks because they're gonna cook for the same amount of time as the chicken. And so you want to make sure that they're not so small that they're gonna get, singed with heat. You want them to kind of slowly roast and get caramelized without burning. You don't have to, this is all it's a very ish recipe, as I like to say, because there's really no measurements needed, because nothing's going to turn out poorly. You got this. So I'm going to cut off the ends from the onion, and then Jennifer has you slice it into 16 wedges, which I feel like is a lot. Given my knife skills. So I am going to maybe just do as many as I can. And she wants you to cut it through the root so that you can keep the onion intact. 1. Oh. Already falling apart. 2, 3, 4, yep, 5, well, 7, there we go. Okay, 5, 6, okay. Whew. Okay, I'm gonna see you over at the stove because that's the rest of the action happens over there. All right, we are over at the stove and I've got my little chicken and I am gonna season it all over with salt and pepper. I've taken the giblets out. I like to do this right on the butcher paper. Ooh, that's my oven making weird noises. I finally have come to the conclusion that I've got to replace my range, sadly, I think, after 25 years. Got this guy seasoned up. I'm using a very coarse grind because I like that. And the first thing we're gonna do, as you'll see shortly, is we're going to brown this all over. And Jennifer has you brown it on 3 sides, as I will show you shortly. So I've got my Dutch oven heating over medium-high heat, and it calls for a tablespoon of butter of olive oil, and I'm just gonna approximate. Ooh. Give this a little swirl. You want the oil nice and hot before you add the chicken because you're trying to brown this thing. I set the chicken out for probably 15-20 minutes, maybe a little longer before starting because I didn't want it to be totally cold. And we're gonna brown it on 3 sides: the leg side, the breast side, and the leg side. Here we go. I'm gonna start on one of the leg sides. Don't burn yourself. Hold on to a wing. There we go. I think I'm gonna turn off the video right now because this is gonna take a while. Okay, so what I've been doing is sort of this, like, gently lifting it up as I can, because basically the skin, I have one spot that did stick, but the skin will, if it's brown enough, it'll come up off of the pan. Oh, it's actually the wing, that's what it is. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is You don't want to be piercing the skin. So I'm using a fork that's I'm gonna poke on the inside. And then use a spoon, a wooden spoon, to nudge. You can use tongs, but I find tongs like tear the skin pretty easily. So now it's going to cook on the breast for a while. My stove is pretty powerful, so I've been doing it like just over medium, not medium high. I think you're better to take more time at a lower heat than a higher heat where you burn the bird, and it also gets lots of sticky kind of charcoal bits around. Okay. The breast doesn't lay totally flat, so I'm using, again, a gentle, soft wooden spoon to help prop it up so you can get the parts of the skin that haven't browned. And I've been doing this for a little bit, so we're going to turn it now. Oh, that looks nice. Okay. All right. Whew. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to turn off the heat. And what you can do is actually do it this way, is use the other side of your wooden spoon to help lift the chicken. And we're going to take it out. Ooh, nicely browned, you see? And put it into a bowl. And I turned off the heat because it gives me a chance to just take a moment. There are some kind of charred bits here, and I want to take them out because I don't want them to adversely flavor the rest of the dish. I'm going to turn this off so you can actually hear me. And we're going to move on to the butter stage, because this is a French recipe. Of course, you have butter. And it's 2 tablespoons, and I am going to approximate that. That looks like about 2 tablespoons to me. And I'm going to add that to the pan. That looks really yummy. And then I'm going to add the veg. So I've got my butternut squash, and I've got my carrots, and I've got my onions. Uh-oh. At some point I'm supposed to add wine. I just want to make sure I'm not supposed to. Yeah, I think I add that later. Oh, good. Okay. Whew. Here we go. So I'm going to add my herbs. And then I'm going to find some way to... This looks like a lot. I don't know how I'm going to get this chicken in here. Okay, you're supposed to just toss it to get, like, to coat it lightly. That snapping you hear is the herbs. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Okay. This is not going to work the way I want it to, because this chicken's not going to just nestle in there. We're going to do some operating here, which means we're going to have to take out some of the veg to get the chicken in. And then we will, whoops, don't throw your onions on the floor. Okay, well, that was interesting. All right, so we're going to take our chicken. Use my fork. Okay, well, this is going to be interesting because you have to put the lid on. Let's see if this will go on. Oh, it does. Okay, great. So it goes on. So we're going to stick the rest of the veg around. But these will cook down, so don't worry. I'm not stressing about it. I'm just more like, hey, would you just cooperate? So I put the chicken breast side up. This is not wine. This is olive oil. This is the wine. And I'm not even drinking a beer. I'm just, it's in the middle of the afternoon. I'm drinking seltzer water, but maybe I need more coffee. Okay, so I'm gonna pour the wine over. Oh, that looks so nice. Just a 1/4 cup, that seems so little. Yep, okay. And then I'm gonna stick the lid on. Press it on. And I'm gonna stick it in the oven. And then I'm gonna take it out when it registers 165. She says about an hour. So I'll check it after, 30 minutes. I just wanna, last thing you wanna do is overcook it. Okay, in we go. I'll see you in about an hour. All right, friends, we are back. And before I get into carving the chicken, I am going to do a little beer mission. So I've got inexplicably used Umlaut Marzen, which is a lager from Single Cut. I like their beers. And it's like, I've had it before, so it's a very golden, sort of caramel colored lager, and it is delish. It's great. I thought it would be perfect with the chicken. Kind of a nice hearty Sunday night cozy meal. Yeah, like that. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, time to carve the chicken. Actually, I'm going to do that so that I don't get too many juices on the cutting board. And I think it's gonna be pretty easy to carve because it's almost like braise roasted. And so it's probably gonna sort of mostly fall apart is my guess. Jennifer says you can carve it right in the pot, but I don't recommend that for a couple of reasons. One is that it'd be awkward. It does keep the sort of mess into one place, but also it feels like an opportunity to really like mess up your knives, or at least I would, because I would probably be hitting the edge of the pot. Okay, whoops, what am I doing? I'm gonna take off the leg first. Oh, it's so nice. Look how easy that came off. This is a tiny chicken, so that's why I'm using a paring knife, but I'd usually use a carving knife. Very tender, nice. Don't miss that part. Yeah, this is like that little nugget of meat that fits into the spot. Many people believe it's the best part of the chicken, and a lot of people say that the cook gets to eat it because they are the ones who put the labor into making the chicken so good. Okay, Fiverr, hello. I realized that I should tell you what else you could serve this with, which is I would do like big slabs of toasted bread so that you can soak up all the juices. Serve this in like wide, shallow bowls. A plate is not going to be sort of a great situation because there's so many, you want a lot of the juices and gravy. And the other thing you could do is you could do mashed potatoes. You can also put potatoes into the pot when you cook it. I just didn't do that. So here you go. You get a little bit of everything. Here we go. It's really great. It's like, the chicken is delicious. All the flavors are, like the carrots and the butternut squash have sweetened the gravy. There's a little bit of the herbs. It is like the world's most tender chicken. And it was so nice and easy. So there you go. We've got one pot roasted chicken, a la Julia Child. And I hope you'll give it a try, and I will see you next week. Bye. If you want, you could take all the vegetables out, cook the sauce down to like a more concentrated gravy. But what I love about this dish is that it's so like country cooking. So why would you bother, making a perfect sauce?